All right, so I want to welcome you to Content Marketing by Forward Progress, more traffic, more leads, and more business. And what we want to do is have you understand this is a new buzz term in marketing and how it's framing out and how it's coming together, and sort of how to prepare your business and yourself for this new thing but not so new thing. So to maximize your learning, let's go ahead and turn off mobile devices, or at least silence them a little bit. Close your emails, remove all distractions, and then let's just make sure we have plenty of note-taking material. So with that being said, in your GoToWebinar taskbar, a lot of you have already been chatting with us and talking with us, but in that questions area is where you can chat with us. Okay, so you see on the screen there, you can see the GoToWebinar in the little questions area. And those of you that are just logging in, we just had another 25 people log in. Just, you can say hello or hi and make sure you can communicate with us, because we are recording this session so that you can go back and take this material and this slide deck back and sort of review it with your team. We're going to give you some specific next steps and ways that you can go back and work with your team on just sort of pulling some strategy together around this topic. We're also, you'll notice on the left-hand side of your screen, we see some of the little flower icons there represented by Mac and also PC. And if you lose our screen, at this point, you just click on that little flower on your status bar, that little daisy, and it'll pop up our screen and the GoToWebinar screen. So you should see the slide that says how to engage with the GoToWebinar interface. Now, my name is Dean Delisle. Many of you know me. Some of you don't. I am the founder and CEO of Forward Progress, and we train and coach over 2,000 people a month. On average, both live and just like this, and we've trained and coached over 85,000 people in 35 countries now. So what the cool thing is, we get to see all kinds of different patterns and all kinds of different marketing ideas and trends and waves and things that are working, things that are not working all over the world. We see patterns, and like I say, it doesn't matter if you're in Madison, Wisconsin or Milan, Italy. A lot of the things work equally, right? So we want you to think about that. And those of you that don't know Forward Progress, we have coaching and training just like this, either one-on-one, or we have it where you can come into a group setting. We have subscription training and coaching. So those of you that are hungry to learn and want to learn more, you have that. Also, we have services, accounting services, right? So, marketing services, where you can come to us and get like plans done, marketing plans, and social media services and search engine marketing services. So with us today, I'm proud to have Steve Gilberg. He has 20 years of publishing, digital, and content experience. Right, so he is really passionate. His whole life, he's been at some level of digital and publishing and content, and so we're real delighted that he's joined the Forward Progress team, and he's helping us with a lot of our larger corporate accounts and just working on content strategy. So Steve, I just want to welcome you on with us today.
Thanks, Dean. Glad to be here.
Yeah, anything more you want to add? That I know you have like this long, passion for content. You've been working with it your whole life, and I have some familiarity with Britannica and World Book, and so maybe what sort of drives you to stay in this space?
I find it interesting. I think with every client I've worked with, every employer I've worked with, you get to touch different types of content, and every time I work on an assignment, I'm working with, it could be foreign language content, it can be marketing content. In the example of Encyclopedia Britannica, I could be working with dinosaur content or insect content or solar system content. So it's one of those areas where every day it's something different, it's something new, and I think for myself as a passionate lifelong learner, it's always interesting to delve into an area where I'm unfamiliar, let's say the content area I'm unfamiliar, but then actually work with the customer and help them, I'd say, inventory their content, assess their content, dissect their content, and actually come up with a strategy where content that they already have in-house can be used to engage their current customers and actually draw more prospects in.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what's interesting is we just did a talk on search engine marketing, which I believe you attended and a lot of folks on with us attended. And you know, we've done things around blogging and around content, but this is the first time we're focused just on the content itself. And since you and I have been working together for a little bit here, it has actually opened my eyes up. So I'm proud to sort of share this with people. But when we get into the term of content marketing, can you elaborate a little more on, can you elaborate a little more on sort of what it is, like what is content marketing and why is it important?
You know what, it's very important today. We were having a conversation earlier about, is content marketing something new? And you know what, the terminology, the jargon, I would say content marketing, has popped up over the last couple of years, but content marketing is nothing new. And I'll give you a few examples. You know, content marketing is something that big brands have been doing for many, many years. And one company in particular that I think about is John Deere, the tractor company. They're located in Illinois with, manufacturing plants all over the world. But in 1895, they launched a magazine called The Furrow. And it was to provide information to farmers on how to become more profitable. So of course, there were ads inside the magazine for their tractors and for their, equipment, but from the beginning, this is what, 120 years ago, John Deere was putting content out into the marketplace and acting as an expert in their industry and providing valuable information, which today we call content, but providing valuable information to farmers on how to get more profit out of their crops. And throughout the years, whether it's the Sears Big Book or any type of catalog that's come out, you can call that content marketing. One that I think of, over the last 15 years, Abercrombie and Fitch, they used to send out a very large catalog that really didn't sell a whole lot, but they were selling, sexy men and women, which is what their brand, sexy young men and young women, what their brand really is about. And so they were able to communicate who they are and what they do basically through imagery. So why is it important today? So many companies, and whether you're a retailer or a manufacturer or a real estate agent, you've discovered that you've got content in-house. Or maybe you don't know you already have content in-house, but this is how you're going to connect to your customers and your prospects. And that's why it's become so important today. Companies are using white papers. They could be new white papers, or they could be 5-year-old white papers that are still relevant, and they're learning how to post them online and use that as a marketing tool to get attention and to bring customers into their fold. And so that's the conversation that we're having today, is really how to use existing content and how to produce your own content to generate more leads and more sales. And again, it's basically by drawing attention to this content and bringing them over to your side so you can convert them to a sale or a lead, which ultimately will lead to a sale.
Yeah, and real quick, Steve, that sort of begs me to believe we talk a lot here about relationship marketing and building trust, and I believe, as I looked at a lot of the samples that you and I were talking about early on with people's content and putting that content out there, I think it's also a big trust builder and confidence builder, right? It gives us a footprint of even part of our digital reputation out there on the internet, right?
I agree with that, and I think part of the putting the content out there is that you can become the expert in your field. So whether it's a a law firm who maybe it's a small law firm, but they're competing against, a big law firm. If they keep producing great case studies or writing great articles on current subjects, they have an opportunity to pitch themselves as leaders in the field and basically level the playing field so that they have the same opportunity as the large guys to compete for business. So you're absolutely right. Whether you want to call it trust or relationship marketing or becoming touting yourself as an expert in the field, it's a great opportunity. And again, you start drawing attention, which is the marketing aspect, and you start bringing people over to your website to get them to do what you want them to do.
Right, and we just did a webinar. This just brings to mind. We just did a webinar with the private bank and KRD Accounting Group, and the KRD Accounting Group, what they brought to the table from a content perspective is they have a couple of the partners who have become specialists in in the new healthcare system and the Affordable Care Act and all that stuff, right? And so they had a lot of good content that they took, that some of it was their own, that they've put together for talks that they've done and content that they acquired. And I know we're going to get into this a little bit, but that just brought to mind, wow, yeah, that's what that accounting firm has taken the position of gathering people based on the fact that they're taking their existing knowledge and content around being advisors and helping business owners and mid-sized companies, and then now all of a sudden they're attaching themselves to something that's hot. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that, so it just popped into my head. So then, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the strategy or moving toward the strategy on that?
The strategy we're going to discuss in about 5 minutes, but the strategy that I will propose, and then we'll get into deeper, is that all of you on the call really take a close look at what you already have in-house. And whether it's an article, a case study, a white paper, it could be PDFs. We want you to take inventory of what you already have and see if it's still valuable, if the content is still valuable today. And we're going to discuss in a little while how you can use that to boost yourself online and just take that pre-existing content and turn that into posts, tweets, blogs, what have you, and get this content marketing program, your own content marketing program, on a steady course moving forward.
Right, and so I just want to test the audience here real quick and just sort of how you see yourself sitting today as we show this gentleman on the screen that's holding a stack of content in his arms, which is sometimes when we walk into a company and we're like, pull all your content together, and we'll go into the conference room and literally they have stacks of content that hasn't been digitized. So whether it's, so up on the screen we have a poll. Do you currently have content, right, that you can use, right, in any capacity? So think about training manuals and PowerPoints and video and pictures, and it could come in the form of operational manuals and white papers and things like that. It may not be evergreen or things that can be used timelessly, but maybe you have things that you can actually use. So,
it could be interviews. Interviews
right.
with your CEO. It could be press releases that are current, or I'd say press releases within the last year where it has some relevance. So we want you to keep this in mind throughout the entire presentation. Well, this looks fantastic. It seems like the vast majority of everybody online has something that they feel that they can use. Hopefully there's a lot.
Right, and we have 16% that say no, so let's be sensitive to maybe things that we're not thinking of as we move through here. Now, we already talked a little bit of why it's important. Do you want to touch of, because what I liked about what you said and what some of the conversations that we've had, Steve, are the fact that, there's qualified prospects looking actually for us as experts, right, our
Mm-hmm.
expertise, but they're also looking for our product or service, which had me think, oh my gosh, yeah, because I always like to tie the people together, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, they might just be looking for a great website or a marketing campaign, and they don't know about us yet. But if we can use this to build that like I said, that reputation-based footprint, that now becomes part of that strategy.
Absolutely. And, whether you're a marketing firm or like John Deere, you sell tractors, every day, every hour, there's somebody online doing a search for tractors.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you don't have something online to entertain, to draw the customer in or the prospect in, they're going to find somebody else that is providing this content. So this is why we're going to continue to talk, throughout the entire webinar about becoming an expert in your area, creating that relationship with your prospects, and basically anybody online that's looking for you. And they may not be looking for you. They may just be looking for a product you produce or something similar to a product you produce or a service you produce. And we want to get you to the top of the search list. And Dean's going to talk later in the seminar about search engine marketing and how this ties into the content marketing. It's all very important to be thinking about your reputation and how we can keep inching it up and inching it up so that you can achieve achieve the conversion results that you're interested in.
Yeah, and I just want to confirm. So there's two main ways that business comes to your door, and your door could be your website or other things that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But one is people that might be looking for your service or your product, or maybe even just your type of business. It could be geographical or non-geographical. And then also people that might be checking you out and checking out that you're really the expert that you say you are. And does that footprint match up to what what you're telling them, or maybe a good referral source is telling them too?
Mm-hmm. Right. There's a quote I found a couple days ago and I've used before that says content marketing is focused not on selling but simply on communicating with customers and prospects. The idea is to inspire business and loyalty from buyers to inspire business and loyalty from buyers by delivering consistent, ongoing, valuable information. And so I want to just emphasize consistent, ongoing, valuable information. And we'll continue to talk about this today. So strategies. I like this graphic that we have here, and it's talking about force. This is somewhat of a scientific look at content marketing and how we're going to reach our goal. And I have another very scientific image to show you in a little bit. But our goal is, or what we want to do is to reach our goal. And the motivation here is to produce great content, like I said, consistent, ongoing, valuable content. To use on your site, you want strong design, you want to build trust, you want to build your reputation, and to an extent, present yourself as an expert in the field or an expert in your industry. But a lot of times, our motivation meets friction. And, excuse me, these are problems that all of us have every single day, and it's these obstacles, these unseen obstacles that we have in front of us. We don't know that we have them there, and it could be, as it shows on this graphic here, unclear content. It could be unanswered questions, meaning, you might have an FAQ section on your website that answers about 3 frequently asked questions, but really there are about 10 of them that your customers and prospects are asking every day. And the more, again, the more engaging your content on your website is, and the more questions you can answer, the more you get, or or the closer you get your visitor to your goal. So you want to take a look at your website. You want to look at your content. Are there any gaps in your content where you're not presenting the best possible you or the best possible company that you work for? So we want to reduce this friction as much as possible so that the arrow on this image, the motivation, is constantly moving forward to the trophy. Okay, so keep that in mind. We all have obstacles. There will probably be an obstacle in this webinar that Dean and I can't see. You know,
Right.
for all I know, our microphones aren't working right now. If they aren't, please let us know. But,
now we have an indicator that tells us that. I also want to encourage, we're getting a lot of questions in that Stephen is fielding some or teeing those up. So please, as questions pop into your mind specific about your business, we're here to help you. So what we want to do is make sure that we jump on, you know, and get those questions handled for you. So please don't hesitate to type questions into the questions area, and we'll make sure we, even if we run over a little bit, we'll stick around and get everybody taken care of here, because we know this is new, this is important, but it's 2014 and we need to start looking at this for this year's strategy. Our competitors are looking at it, and we have to make this happen.
Mm-hmm,
So
absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. So you want us to move on here, Steve?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. I know we have a lot to cover, so, but this is so interesting.
Okay.
Conversion, my favorite topic.
Conversion. This is, well, I'm going to say this is a tough one, but it really isn't. So, you know, I can go back to the first slide that says, what is content marketing? You know what? None of us are doing this for fun. Okay? We're not doing it because we love to produce content. We want to dig through old case studies and white papers. But the goal of your content marketing is to actually convert your prospects into customers, okay? Or either customers or great leads. So sometimes it's, you know, we want the big sale, but sometimes we have to walk hand in hand with our prospect and take small leaps, small jumps before we get to the actual sale. So for many of us, closing the sale is the end goal, but there are steps along the way that we need to think about and encourage our prospects or our visitors to engage in. So conversion is, you know, it's a technical word that we use on the digital side of business. And the conversion means, what is it that you want your destination, your website visitors, your mobile site visitors to do? And it really is all about moving your business toward your specific goals. And again, we have so many people online that we can't really discuss everybody's goals, but you know what your goals are. So when we talk about conversion, there are a number of different ways that you can convert customers, and we're going to give you some examples in a minute. But some of you want customers. Some of you produce newsletters, so you want subscribers. Some of you are using social media to your advantage, and so you want to figure out, how can I get more fans and followers? Some of you produce products. You're a manufacturer. You're maybe a brand. Maybe somebody from Procter & Gamble is on here selling toothpaste. You want more product reviews, and that's what's going to get customers to convert. Some of you want members. Some of you want promotion or sweepstakes entrance.
Right, and you know, the other thing I was just thinking is we do a lot of productizing for our service customers, and so in that productizing, you know, it's interesting to think about the fact that, I mean, heck, we do that here. We have our LinkedIn on Demand, our social media mega pack. We've taken our services and we productize them, but that's a great thought about driving, you know, using your content to drive to that specific initiative. And then in product reviewers, those are people that are building trust with your product before they know what your product is, and that's an excellent point. I love that. I love that part. And should we find out maybe from our audience, you know, what's the most important, or what types of conversion, you know, will move them forward?
Yes.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to know what people are looking for.
Yeah, because then we can curtail this a little bit to what the audience is what like the most important thing that's going to move them forward. So we got about 30% of the people in. Well, we're going to let this run for about 10 seconds. It should be on everybody's screen. Again, if you lose our screen, just click on that little daisy or flower at the bottom. It'll bring it up, and then we can, sort of see what's most important.
Mm-hmm. And if there's something on this poll, something highly specific to your business that we didn't include on the poll, definitely send that in as a question or comment, and that's something that we can address. Okay, so everybody wants to sell something.
Yeah, everybody, 83% want customers, right?
Everybody wants customers. Well, you know what, I think that's great because, ultimately, we all have to drive revenue. We all have a revenue goal, and that's important. And we will all get there, and content marketing will lead your customers and prospects there. But don't forget, there are steps along the way. You can't always get a visitor to buy something today. So sometimes you have to, again, lead them along the way and handhold them. So we're just going to go through a few examples. A big example that everybody in the world knows about is Amazon. And this is really, our customer sales slide. We all go to Amazon. Typically, we know what we want because they have the world's largest, retail store online. So we go there, and whether we're looking at gift watches or we're buying a Kindle or buying a book, we usually know what we want. We put it in our shopping cart, and we go buy it. So if we all had the same kind of name recognition as Amazon, that would be awesome, but we don't. So we'll move on to the next slide, and we'll talk about what it's like to, I think what's the next slide?
Subscribers. Right.
So, again, before we get to the sale, we might have to do things. So if you're a real estate agent or a mortgage broker or a marketing person that has monthly newsletters, well, you need subscribers, okay? And eventually, the subscribers, once they read your newsletter 3, 4, 5 months in a row, that's when they're going to start asking for more services, and that's when it's going to allow you to close the sale.
No, that's a good point. And one of the things that we talk about are, we do a lot with community building, right? So to your point about social media as well as building subscribers, we talk, and some people use events for that, but what we do is we'll take, and we call it list building, right? So first of all, we want to build list. We want people to trust us enough to opt in or to download something or to get the ebook and to get to that first step of trust. And then they opt into our list, and then we sort of court them to become customers. Some of us can, sell instantly, like Amazon can. But a lot of us can't. A lot of us need that, like we use webinars, we'll use newsletters, we use blogs, we use subscribers, right, to get people to that point of trust to where they raise their hand and they go, I'm ready. So I mean that's what I see. And then for social media connections, I think for us this is really close and near and dear to our heart because we want people to, again, follow us to the website, follow us to the point of sale, like us enough to stay tuned in to go to our website from there or our landing page to that next point, right?
And so, I'll add on for the social media slide. If you folks aren't engaging in social media too much, or in this example, asking people to follow you or like you, this is really important because you all have your websites. I'm assuming most of you have websites, and that requires your visitors to find you and then come to your site and then peruse your site and find what they're looking for. The advantage of the social media connections with Facebook and Twitter, and there may be some other industry-specific websites like Zillow for real estate agents, is that they don't have to come to your website to find you. Okay? If they like you on Facebook, if they're following you on Twitter, and you are posting frequently, and frequently could be 3 times a week, it could be 5 times, it could be twice. If you're posting, this content is automatically pushed in front of these people who are following you and liking you, and so they're reading it throughout the day, and they're getting little tidbits from you that go into their news feed or their Twitter feed. So they're constantly seeing your brand in front of them. And so this is really important to think about. And again, the kind of the drawing the sand in the line is your website, they have to specifically go to, they have to find you. Okay, and they have to like the content on your website. Social media, they don't have to find you, and they don't have to peruse your website. They just have to like what you're posting when you post.
You know, we're taking a lot of questions at the end, but we do have one from Adam that came in that I think is piquing my curiosity, at least from your perspective, Steve. I have my thought on it, but he's saying, would you consider contact, as a one of the other, I think they're actually more effective newsletters because of the tracking capabilities, but I call that sort of one-to-one relationship content instead of one-to-many. And when I think of content marketing, and this may be where I get my wires crossed a little bit, I always think about the reputation, building community, search engine marketing, top of Google. I think of those type of things so that I get more eyeballs on our content to follow to our company. Like what we're talking about is, does the purposing of that content also go to the one-to-one relationship when we talk about mobile delivery, or we talk about inbox delivery, if you will, which is where these other ones play.
Right. You know what? I think that's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up, Adam. I think when you talk about email marketing, I think that is a standalone event. Okay. Yeah. Now, some people deliver newsletters through Constant Contact or Exact Target, which are both great delivery sources. So you're kind of splitting hairs there, because you can use that for delivery, but again, a distinction there is that you need to get their email addresses first. Okay, so how are you going to engage these people to actually give you their email address and have them opt in to your email or your newsletter? And this is where the content marketing comes in, and that's actually something we should have had a slide about that, and let's remember that for our next webinar, is that the social media connection. Yes, you want to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, but a lot of companies
subscribe.
Subscribe to our newsletter, and that's where you type in your email address, and they're only going to do that if they like your content. So
right,
again,
exactly.
This is my area of expertise. You've got to deliver good content, engaging content, for them to say, yes, I want to follow you, yes, I want to like you, and yes, I want to sign up for your newsletter.
Absolutely, and we have a lot of great questions, so we haven't forgotten people. We're going to stay on pace with the content, and then we'll get to everybody's questions. Now, this is one of the most fascinating things. I was looking at this again last night. You and I haven't had time to talk about it, but I have to have you explain this, because I am just like, all right, this has my attention. It's a periodic table of content. What is this? Go for it, man, because I want to learn from this. Okay, cool.
All right, so this is another great graphic, and it's actually from a friend, Andy Crestodina, who runs Orbit Media Studios here in Chicago, and he is a big thought leader in the content marketing space, so I'm giving credit to him. And he produced this periodic table of content. And again, this is my other science, my science analogy. And basically, and I will explain this, it's how to turn articles into particles. So it's a humorous takeoff on the periodic table of elements that we all learned about. I think in middle school and in high school we had to learn every element. This is much easier because there are fewer. And so I'm going to explain this. I'm going to go through the bullets on the left, and then I'm going to explain why this is important. So at the top of the chart are really small pieces of content. We have tweets and posts, okay? So it's Twitter and Facebook. And these items have very short half-lives. So your customers, your prospects, they're going to see them for one day, okay? If even that, okay? And they're very short. As you move to the bottom of this chart, you have much larger pieces of content, and whether they're books or ebooks, or it could be a white paper or a PDF, these are much larger bites of content, but they exist longer, they last longer online because they have so much more relevance, and because of search engine marketing, it allows it to stay live longer. On the left side of the chart, these items, these pieces of content are living on the web, okay, or living in the larger web. They're being pushed out to other sources. So they're being pushed out to Twitter. They're being, and then being, released again into the web sphere or onto your mobile phone, and newsletters you might post on other sites, and there are press releases that are pushed out. And as we go to the right side of the chart, these are items that reside on your website. Okay, so it's kind of this clear distinction, if you put it around quadrants of how content is being used and where you can use it. So the subhead of this slide is how to turn articles into particles. And this is something big that we do in the content marketing business, and what Forward Progress does a great deal of. We take inventory, and I'm going to say we take inventory of your larger pieces of content. So your articles, your white papers, your case studies, the PDFs. And one of the goals that we have is to take this pre-existing content and reduce it into smaller pieces of content that kind of fit on the left side of the chart. So an example might be, let's say you have a white paper on the solar system. Okay, I'm sure everybody's got a white paper on the solar system.
Might have been fifth grade, but
right, exactly. But what we would do when we look at this white paper, we're going to break it down into 7 articles relative to the 7 planets in the solar system. Okay, so we're going to make articles out of those, and then each article talks about, perhaps each article has 5 paragraphs, okay, that discuss, what Saturn, what Saturn is made up of, how it circles the sun, and, there are 5 important paragraphs. Well, those paragraphs could be turned into a podcast where we actually discuss what it means for, for Saturn to revolve around the sun. We could do video. We could also do a Facebook post out of those paragraphs. And we could include it in a newsletter. We could then take those paragraphs and find, small bites of content that we turn into tweets. Okay? And I want to make sure everyone is kind of understanding. So, I don't know, maybe you could write in and just let us know if you kind of understand this concept of taking your larger pieces of content and distilling them down into smaller pieces that can be reused and reused so that you don't have to produce a lot of new content.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. When we get, what was interesting, I wrote a class on how to write an ebook, and I wanted to know how to write an ebook. So like a few years back, I wrote one of them on the 9 things you need to do before you log on. And what I did is I went in reverse order. So I needed to produce an ebook, so I produced 9 blog posts on each of the things, and then I went to one of our content partners, and then I did a I did an ebook out of that, but now I have 10 pieces of content. And then I did a webinar that had a recording and a slide deck. And so now out of the same information, you know, in the same effort, I produce like 7 or 8 pieces of content, and I probably could have done I probably could have done a podcast too. I didn't even think. Oh, I did. Actually, I produced a CD out of it. I did a recording. And I did when I went to trade shows. I have a disc. I just remembered that I did. So I have content that is living on land as well as on the internet. So that's a good point. We have to, yeah,
it's critical to allow you to have more content and more content out there, because you know what we don't want to happen with this webinar is for anybody to feel like inundated, like, oh my God, I've got to start producing more and I've got to post every day and I don't have the content and I don't know where to find it. You know what? We'll find it for you. It is there. And, you know, I have friends that are in public relations and, you know, they do video interviews with their CEO and other leaders within their organization. And they have, and you might have, a half-hour video that has 4 interviews on it. Okay, well, you know what? Let's break apart that video into 4 smaller videos that you can post online in different places. So
right.
It's simple like that. But I will say, you know, if you're going to produce new content, we want you to be thinking about where you're going to market it first. So this goes back to Dean's comment about the ebook that he wrote. You know, he knew he needed to write an ebook, and he had this concept that he wanted to, he wanted the book to be 9 things you need to do before you go online. All right, well, how do you get there? He chose to write 9 blogs or blog posts. Okay, so, and those blog posts could have come from, you know, 18 Facebook posts.
Right.
So that's kind of working it backwards. So, you know, to write a white paper or an article, you might want to start, again, looking at the and eventually, let's say over 4 months' time, you'll have enough to produce a white paper that can be published on your website or pushed out into other media.
Right, and one of the other things I think about is here we're like a content factory. That's a factory here. I swore I wasn't going to go back to manufacturing. I'm back in it, but we're a content factory where we produce and manufacture over 10,000 blog posts and social media posts a month. Now, one of the questions that came in, well, should I do all the content or should I have somebody do all the content? And one of the things, before I have you answer that, Steve, I think about, well, it depends on the structure and the makeup of your company. If you're a busy person, right, if you're a busy person and you have the ability, maybe you're in our Social Jack system and you've learned how to get more appointments and you're in front of more people and you're doing speaking and you're doing educational things like this and you're out with people, you may not have the luxury and the time to either convert or produce content. That's where you partner up with somebody like us. Doesn't have to be us. We always hope it is, but where you partner up with somebody like us, but we work together. What I don't want to see people do is say, well, I'm just going to hand off my content and back off from this, and I'll see you in a few months. You know, we want the most successful content clients that we have are the ones that are in it with us. Like, we talk frequently. We tell you what the hot topics are. You come back, and all of a sudden, you know, we're both working on that conversation out there together, and then when people type it in, they find you in mass. It's like, wow, look at this digital footprint on project management. Look at this digital footprint on so-and-so for real estate. Look at this digital footprint on this person. And then people are finding you because of the content as well as the reputation that you have around that content. Does that make sense? At least that's my viewpoint on it. Any thought on that, Steve, or feedback on that?
No, I think you're right on. I can't say more. I think you're right on, and there's a lot of content out there, and if you don't have it, there's a way to get it.
Right. All right. Do we want to do this quick poll real quick? Like, what channels are you using? Do we want to test folks with that and just see what they're using? Okay, so let's just get a sense. Like you know, what channels are you guys using? So there's social networks, blogs. webinars. Oh, somebody closed it out on us quickly. Okay, well, we'll bypass that poll for today. Okay, so let's go on to why online social networks, right? Well, I think you said it well, but I just want to reiterate it. It's about building trust and building community. It's those two pieces in the middle, and the fact that people respond, right? They're interactive. And this is where it catches. One of the things that fascinates me, Steve, is when we have a post or a piece of content or a blog, and again, a lot of times we're not the great predictors. We know based on, we'll look at the hot topics and the trends like content marketing, and we'll develop content around there. So you're writing a blog on it, I'm writing a blog on it, we're doing a webinar together, we'll have a slide deck, we're going to have all kinds of, we're going to have a YouTube video, right? So we're going to have a lot of good footprint on content marketing. Even though we've been doing it for 10 years as Forward Progress, we haven't always called it content marketing, but now we're going to wrap the same content and some of the new things around it, freshen it up, and be part of the, calling it content marketing, I guess. And what surprises me is when we posted that we were having this webinar before we generated the content, people started finding us immediately because we attached our current content, our great methodologies, our reputation, our name to this topic, and we already have been asked to speak at 2 conferences on content marketing. So I was just laughing like, well, I didn't think it was going to take off that quick. I mean, people are just now starting to talk about it. It started in December, and then January, it's like the hot thing for 2014 is content marketing. And then when you and I got together, I'm like, wow, we've been like doing this our whole lives. Like you said, since John Deere. What year did that come out? Like 1895. Yeah, 1895. Yeah. It's been around a while. Not quite as long as Al Gore's internet, but it's right. Been around a while. But it's like, what do we do this for, right? Why did we originally start newsletters and start collecting and building content? Well, it was to build trust, and it was to hold our community, right? We didn't want our competitors to take our customers' attention away. Once somebody found out about us, we wanted to retain them and build a community of trust around us so we could get referrals and maintain that customer relationship. So that's no different today. This is the exact same thing, and online social networks have now given us a place to build community. And I always say, look at Facebook has like 1 billion people, but your community or your slice might be a couple thousand people by connection. You might have your original, 100 or 200 people in the core, and then all of a sudden, and then you might have like the people that are connected to them, which gives you, maybe about 2,000 to 10,000 people, but that's your community. You have a community built around you. Each and every one of you are like a membership organization or a social network. And a lot of you have seen this slide deck of ours, but it's about connecting with the contacts that you can't see. So to Steve's point, you have you have this content that's written, and one of the things we didn't go into because we only have so much time is it has to be driven toward a target, right? We always talk about that in our other webinars. Have a target customer or partner in mind when you're writing the content, and when you put it out there, you're going to attract. You put this on Facebook, you put it on LinkedIn, you get it in your blog post, you get those things out there like Steve talked about, you're going to attract the target to you because by nature of connection or search, right, they're going to be pulling that back. So not only do we collect the content for you, or you should be collecting the content, you should also be talking to the target and wrapping it around those keywords. Now Facebook is just one place. Right, so like we put up this search engine marketing, how to climb to the top of Google, and if you Google today, if you go to Google right now and type in climb to the top of Google, we have the top 5 or 6 positions. We beat out Google, we beat out YouTube, we beat out Mashable, we beat out everybody on this post. We even beat out Google on a Google post to prove that if we had enough content around climbing to the top of Google, right, climb to the top of Google, we tested this, right? So now all of a sudden we're just like at the top of Google with climb to the top of Google, right? It was a hot topic, 65 million searches. So what we did is we took this and we sort of proved out this theory, but we didn't stop with the blog and the webinar and the webcast and that content. We posted it on all of our social network sites. So we gave it life. We gave it conversation. We gave it community, and we gave it people. Right, and I think that that's a real important thing, Steve. Do you have anything to say on that as we just sort of talk about these outlets of where we send this content?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I really liked that you said was, pick a customer that you have in mind, somebody who you do great business with, and what is it that they need from you? What do they need to hear from you for you to get more business from them? And hopefully, if you put that type of content, online, in whatever form, it's a Facebook post or a blog post, that's likely to attract more customers like this one. Okay, so very similar to understanding where you're going to post the content, you need to understand or have a clear understanding of your customer. And I know some of us who are small business owners, and I'm sure there are some out there, there's a difference between who we think our customer is or who we want our customer to be and who actually is our customer. Right. And there's a delta between who our customer is and who we want them to be. And that's how we want to write the content.
Correct.
Because we want to draw more of those in there. What we don't want are bad customers and people who don't pay their bills. You don't want to write content for them.
Right,
so
exactly.
you want to think about your best customers, the ones who keep buying, the ones who pay on time, and envision them when you're writing or you're culling existing content or parsing existing content. Think of them as you're producing the new content.
Right. So real quick, I jumped into the blogging slide here as we're running short on time, and I want to get to a lot of these good questions that we have just so that we can answer everybody's questions. But I showed YouTube and Twitter, and these are all social networks. So write down the outlets that make the most sense for you today that exist. But as we look at the poll, are you currently blogging? I mean, blogging is such one of these things that people are like, oh, it's hot. It's not. It's hot. It's not. It's content. People, it's content that is living and breathing content where people can subscribe to you. Okay, so we have on the screen, we give you an option of personal, business, or both, not yet, but would like to, and not interested. So even if you have someone like us help you produce some blog posts, I can't tell you enough that you can have that digital footprint around your business. In fact, we just went into a membership organization that said, well, we want to do blogging, but we don't have enough blogs. And I said, well, do you have articles? They go, oh, yeah, we have 75 articles. I go, brilliant. So all we did was convert the articles to blog posts, and we did one a week, and it gave us some lead time to create a marketing strategy to start producing blogs for them, or to have their members contribute and produce blogs. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
There is existing content, and whether it's 75 weeks worth or 30 weeks worth or 20 weeks worth, it's enough to give you a head start, and so you don't have to be concerned about what am I going to post next week and what am I going to post the following week. You can set up a schedule, and what you can start working on now is what you're going to post in week 21 and week 22. And if you need help with that, you talk to us, or you have guest writers. Maybe one of your customers will write an article
a good point. Right.
About what why they like working with you, or what your best product looks like, or maybe they'll review a product for you or your service. So don't get all worried about it. It's actually simple to do. You just need to come up with a formula to do so.
Right, and think about what you're already doing. I put webinar up on the screen. in terms of you have great information to share, just like we do, right? So have a webinar maybe, and that will help collect people, and then that produces content for you. The webinar itself, just by sheer nature of the landing page, has content. Subscribers that you get attaches the people to the content. The slides that you have produces content. We've shown you how to go into your your LinkedIn and put slides, slide decks in there, right? And just like it shows up here, integrate that content together. Don't just put it in one place and hide it, hide it in Facebook. Not everybody's in Facebook, even though there's a billion people. There's people in LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you have those accounts and those outlets, just have a strategy for making sure that you get it out there, right? So I want to give everybody a quick assignment, and then we're going to take some questions. So first, assemble and align your team, right? So bring people together to help you out. Don't do this alone. Have, whether it's partners, whether it's customers, whether it's people on the inside of the company, outside of the company, it could be us. Just work together, right? There's so much content that can be purposed, right? Whether you leverage working together on content, you repurpose content, there's all kinds of ideas here. And hopefully you've been taking notes. Create a content marketing plan, even if it's simple, even if it's like on Saturday I'm going to blog, and on Monday I'm going to post, and on Tuesday I'm going to find someone else's content, and then I'm going to talk about that and repost that, right? So start simple and then work a little more complex. I should have put on here, I always have on here, think about your target, right? So think about that target. And again, based on time, we can't put like our whole rapid launch plan in here, but we always talk about pretend your target, that best customer, like Steve said, is sitting across from you. Gather your content together. What do I have that I could already use, right? And share that content with others. So start to look at what's digital, what's not, what can you do, right? And then engage with your audience around the content, right? On social networks, have conversations around the content. See what takes, see what doesn't. That'll give you clues to what to do next with or without that content. Now, we always know, before, again, Stephen, start teeing up questions for me, and then I'll read them off, and Steve can help me out. But if you need, any help on anything, right? So do you need help? We're going to put a poll up here. Stephen, don't touch it, please. But put that poll up there, right? Do you need help on any of the following? Do you need website landing page, search engine marketing, right? Do you need training and coaching? Some of you want to do this on your own. We're all going to leave this up for about 30 seconds. So now in that, let's see, do you assume, here's a good question, do you assume content is pushed out mostly to called out lists, or is there an expectation it is tripped over by inquiring minds? Let's see, make a difference tactically and strategically. What do you think?
Wow. I mean, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Do you assume it was by one of our scientists? He said when he saw the periodic table, he goes, "I used to be a chemist." He goes, "I like the table." Do you assume content is pushed out mostly to called out lists, like specific lists, or is there an expectation that it's tripped over by inquiring minds? I think both, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, you know what? That's coming from two sides. Okay, so the content that you're producing, you are pushing out to this customer you have in your mind, okay? It's the customer you have in your mind. It's the people who have liked your Facebook page. It's the people who have who are following you on Twitter. It's the people who have subscribed to your newsletter, okay? So you are pushing it out to a list of people who know you and with whom you've built trust, and they want to get more information. So that's one direction. The other direction is really the search engine marketing part, where people are doing a Google search for, a plumber in Chicago in this particular zip code. And because you wrote an article about, how to unfreeze your pipes without breaking them, they find you that way. So it's it comes from both directions, and the one is intentional. The intentional part is the content that's being produced to people your Facebook and Facebook, Twitter, and newsletter folks. The unintentional, which you bring up, the people tripping over it, that's the great part. These are people you don't even know about, but they're looking for information about how to unfreeze their pipes without breaking them. And so, this goes back to one of the first slides. There are people out there today doing Google searches looking for your product and service, but they don't know you're there. So
Right.
this is how they trip over you. Through content.
No, absolutely. So let's see. We have
More questions.
yeah, we have more questions. Let's see. I get content from people who must have gotten my info from other providers who shared the list. Well, there's not a secret covert operation. That's marketing. So what we do is we target sort of where you exist, right? And we want to make sure that we get in front of that target, like what we were saying earlier. Here's another one. What do you tell someone who has repeatedly put your product out there but is getting nowhere and no referrals? Well, maybe get someone else. What I would say is, again, it's a dual strategy. So one of the things that we look at is that we have clients that come to us and tell us content that they want to put out there. One of the things that I think that's important is that you have to do an alignment with not what you think is best, but what maybe is best for the target that you're referring to. So like let's say you're in our business, you're marketing, but we never, even though we've been doing content marketing forever, we don't shift our language to say content marketing. Right? And so now all of a sudden we have this critical point where competitors are going to take either our customers away or they're not going to find us. Right, Shirley? So you have to stay on top of this and topical. We can't keep calling a widget if nobody else is calling it a widget because they're not looking for that or they don't get it. It's like when search engine marketing came about, it was really just content marketing with social media mixed in, and it was paid and organic. It was putting a bunch of things together to create search engine marketing and get to the top of Google. But if we didn't change our language to say that we do search engine marketing, right, all of a sudden we're in a funky place. We don't get found. It's really critical. So let's see. I have one more. A lot of people were asking about content marketing campaigns, and we don't want to lose you. So I'm going to put one more slide up here to see people that are actually looking for content marketing slides. So I apologize about that. But so that poll is up there. So if you guys, a lot of people are asking us. So let's get to some more questions here. If we go into, let's see. Oh, here, we got that one already. We have some people. Okay, where is the best place within your organization to find content?
You know what? Depending on the size of your organization, I would go to your public relations department. Yeah. Okay, or your corporate communications department, because they're the ones writing press releases that are consumer friendly. Depending on your business, whether it's a B2C or a B2B, they're writing in the voice to their customer. Okay, so there may be press releases, there may be case studies that they've put out. That's where I would go first. Depending on your business, there may be training manuals, there might be collateral. So if you're a product-heavy business where you've got 50 different products and you've got 50 different tear sheets, each one of those can be considered content.
Right.
And you could feature one a week. Every Monday, you're going to post, a tear sheet on, one of your widgets. And this week it's the green widget, and you're going to write one paragraph about why this green widget is amazing. Right. And you know what? That's your blog post. It's your Facebook post. And now you've got 50 weeks of content. So it's there.
Now that's Yeah, that's good. And I even tell people, look at your phone. Look at your phone. Look at your outbox in your email. It's amazing how many of us like are pushing stuff out to people, but it's hidden in our like email. And so we've had people that Shirley was asking, where's the best place to start a blog? Well, first of all, we do everything or recommend blog, what do you call it, WordPress. But if you need help, or want to talk to somebody here about that, surely just let Stephen know. But so I would start with that. It's best if it's attached to your website. But for blogging content or content in itself, it's usually everywhere. You just don't look at it the same. You might have sales sheets. You might have training manuals. You might have videos that are in your phone or pictures that are in your phone that you don't even think about, right? So anyway, think about what that looks like. But I know we're way over. We're 6 minutes over, so I do apologize. But we had so many good questions. Stephen will scan to see if we missed any questions, and make sure you look at our LinkedIn company page and our Facebook page, and we'll get some follow-up data. We'll make sure everybody gets the video of this and the slides of this. And last but not least, we just want to find out, did everybody learn something new today? So we always want to serve up something new. And if not, what is it that you do want to learn from us? So we want to make sure that you're having some takeaways. We'll put these assignments up one more time because we want to make sure you start taking a step forward. And it looks like most of you did learn something, and some of you are scratching your head going, not sure. So let us know what else you need, right? That's how we learn from you, and we learn where to take it next. So again, we appreciate all of you, and Steve, I appreciate you taking the time with us. It's been amazing to have your expertise on and whatnot. So I mean, it's
Happy
great.
to do it. Happy to do it. We got great questions, and if we didn't address your questions today, feel free to send them in, and if I can answer them, I will, and I'll get in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you with great content and looking really good out there, and we'll see everybody online. Take care.
The organ